Hello and very good morning to all our viewers. This is WION Wallet. I am Sumit Chaturvedi. Let's go and see what is making headlines in the world of business this morning. Japan's Suzuki Motor will make electric cars at its factory in Gujarat in India for India and the world. Volkswagen and its Chinese partner Volkswagen and SAIC will recall close to 5 million vehicles due to issues with airbags. Taking forward the process for Air India divestment, government has asked applications from investment bankers, law firms to act as advisors. And after North Korea fires another missile, global markets come under pressure, including Indian markets. And straight to our top story that is coming from global markets, China, Volkswagen and its Chinese partners for Volkswagen and SAIC, which is Shanghai Automotive, will recall close to 5 million cars due to issues with airbags supplied by bankrupt auto parts maker Takata Corp. The recall comes after Watchdog asked German automaker General Motors and Daimler Mercedes-Benz earlier this year to recall vehicles equipped with Takata airbags. So Volkswagen and Chinese partners, they will recall close to 5 million cars over airbag failure. The car recall would begin in March next year. And 37 vehicle manufacturers have been affected by recall, but the major one is German auto major Volkswagen. The Takata's airbags have earlier also been linked to 16 deaths and around 180 injuries globally. The airbags have the potential to explode with too much force and spray shrapnel as well. And Google plans to introduce a localized digital payment service in India. The payment service called Google Pays will offer payment options beyond existing ones like Google Wallet or Android Pay. Pays, meaning fast in Hindi, will include support for the government-backed Unified Payments Interface or UPI and other consumer payment services, including Paytm and MobiKwik. Google has launched its payment app Android Pay in the US 2 years ago. Google, Facebook and WhatsApp were in talks with National Payments Corporation of India to provide UPI-enabled payment on their platforms. So, launch of mobile payment service in India. Currently, this market is dominated by the likes of, we can say that, Paytm, and the payment service will be called Pays, which means fast in Hindi. Pays will offer digital payment options on different platforms. And Japan's Suzuki Motor will make electric cars in India at its factory in Gujarat for India and the world. The plant in Gujarat will also be the first commercially available electric car for Suzuki. The Japanese company had once showcased an all-electric version for Swift called Swift Rev or range extender around 2010. However, this was never commercially produced. Suzuki will use the country as a key global manufacturing base. Suzuki will also pump in a fresh $600 million in the state for a new plant at Hansalpur with a capacity of 2.5 lakh units. Suzuki will also set up a lithium-ion battery factory that will charge electric, hybrid and other vehicles from company stable. Denso, a Toyota motor company, will provide technology while Toshiba will chip in with cell modules. Together, the three companies will invest $180 million for the plant, which will be operational by 2020. So now Suzuki is going to be electric in a big way and India will help achieve its dream. A lithium-ion battery plant will be established here, which is an important component for any electric car that runs on road. Denso, a Toyota motor company, will provide battery technology to its Japanese sister concern Suzuki. And Suzuki holds majority stake in India's Maruti Suzuki. It holds close to 54% stake in Maruti Suzuki. Suzuki had showcased an all-electric version for Swift earlier as well. And Suzuki will also pump in 600 million for new Gujarat plant where they will make other car than electric cars as far as Maruti's operations in India are concerned. And trouble for absconding Indian businessman Vijay Mallya is continuing. Britain's Serious Fraud Investigation Office or SFIO has begun a money laundering probe against Mallya. According to reports, Serious Fraud Investigation Office has sought details about Mallya's assets and investments from the CBI and Enforcement Directorate in India. Mallya is currently on bail in an extradition warrant executed by Scotland Yard in April on behalf of Indian authorities. The final hearing in the case will start from December 4. Mallya owes around $6 billion to various Indian banks over his now defunct Kingfisher Airlines. Indian government has been trying for his extradition ever since he fled the country. And the biggest news coming from India is something that is pinching every Indian. Following a sharp rise in global rates, petrol and diesel prices in India have risen to their highest level in 3 years in some cities. Reports say Indian government may ask oil marketing companies to further absorb any hike in international prices as well. Fuel prices in major Indian cities has gone up by 1.53% to 1.8%. The global crude rise is majorly driven by hurricane-induced shutdown of refining capacity in the United States. Indian fuel retailers such as Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum and Hindustan Petroleum started daily revision of prices of petrol and diesel from the middle of June. And we are joined by Mr. Anand, who represents the Petrol Dealer Association of India. Mr. Anand, thank you for joining us. And first of all, I would like to ask you, what is the main reason why are the petrol and diesel prices shooting up across India?
See, I'll tell you, the international crude oil prices have been paired with the local domestic prices. Now, domestic prices, the base domestic price constitutes a tremendous percentage of revenue generating exercise by the central and the state government. Now, the base price being higher, now the international prices, whenever they are going up, they are increasing it. Let me explain you. Had the taxes not been there, for example, and the fuel price, base price was 30 rupees a litre, then the current increase in prices would have taken it to 35 rupees. But what has really happened is that the base price, because of taxation, is very high, very high. So every small little hike in the prices takes it to yet another higher levels. Another thing is that what you are comparing it with, you are comparing it with what has happened in the last 45 to 50 days. Since 16 June, the prices have been revised daily. Now, when you compare it with what was the price on 16 June and what is the price today, then there is an increase of about 7 rupees. But should you be comparing it with 1st April price? Now, what had happened was 1st April, the price was about 7 rupees, was significantly lower. So if you compare it with that, 1st April, the price was 66 rupees a litre and now it is 70 rupees some odd paisa per, 70 rupees some 38 paisa per litre. So since 1st April, it has gone up by 4 rupees. But if you compare it with last 45 days, it has gone up by 7 rupees. Now, I'm not justifying why it has gone up, why it has not gone up. All that I'm saying is the oil companies pass on the burden of the latest price revision as impacting them due to international prices. But
Mr. Anand, just would like to interrupt you here, Mr. Anand. I would like to again ask you, isn't the high duties levied by state government responsible for this, or is it most of it because of the global rise in crude prices?
I would say petrol prices anywhere in the country, more than 50% of that price is government duties. People have a very short memory. Last 3 years ago, when the prices were coming down, the government did not pass on the entire benefit of the lower prices to the consumers. There were occasions when the government imposed additional duty. At that time, the assurance was given that should the international prices start going up, the government would give a cushion by reducing the duty. But now that duty is not being reduced. Now that duty is not being reduced. Had the government done the same thing when the prices are going down, what it did when the prices were coming down, the people would not have had this kind of an impact. Another thing I would like to say, there is some part of psychological impact also.
All right.
If you find prices increasing every day, continuously for another 40 days or 30 days or 35 days, obviously it has a negative impact in the psyche of any individual. Earlier, what was happening was prices were getting revised after 15 days.
Mr. Anand, I would like to interrupt you here and would like to ask you any, can we see a reprieve in the prices in near future? Any relief on the way?
Sir, this increase in price in the international market is impacted not by India, it is impacted by a lot of extraneous factors. You call it the international scenario. Yesterday, the Brent went up by $0.20 per barrel, 0.20, 52.30, it was, and went to 52.50. Why it goes up is a demand and supply mismatch. Some of it is real increase in demand and real decrease in supply. Some of that is psychological. Now, U.S. inventories, recently they registered some increase, the price started coming down. Subsequently, the impression was that your inventories were less than what they were anticipated, and the price started going up. So that is how it happens actually in life.
All right. Thank you for getting us all these details, Mr. Anand, and thank you for telling us. But still, we will hope that the prices should come down as soon as possible. But staying with the oil petroleum news in India, India will offer larger areas with higher oil and natural gas reserves in the next auction of discovered fields as Prime Minister Modi's government seeks to curtail rising crude imports. India last year offered 67 small oil and gas fields holding about 625 million barrels of reserves in its first auction in 6 years, allowing new entrants such as drug makers and engineering companies to try their hand at boosting local production. Government also relaxed rules by allowing pricing freedom for oil and gas and a uniform policy for extraction of all hydrocarbons under a single license to encourage investments.